CMMC, the acronym heard round the federal contracting world that nearly everyone's chosen to ignore. They have little headphones on. That's fun. And you almost can't blame them. Since its inception in 2019, CMMC has felt a bit like the boy who cried wolf. I mean, first it was coming in 2020, and it didn't. But then in 2021, it was suspended. But wait, CMMC 2.0 was then set to arrive in just 9 to 24 months. Wait, no! March of 2023, it'll be in RFPs. Scratch that. Nobody knows when it'll be here, says one expert. That's all it takes to be an expert these days, huh? Hey, AJ, ask me a question.
What's your favorite color?
Nobody knows! I'm an expert. So if you've heard lately that CMMC is here and you're a little bit hesitant to trust them this time, I understand. We've all been hurt before. I hurt often. But this time really is different, and CMMC industry folks aren't just saying this based on quotes from government officials or reading their magic 8-ball. They're looking at very real, finalized government rules because those rulemaking processes that were estimated to take 9 to 24 months are now complete. The 32 CFR rule finalized the program. Assessments are happening, and with the 48 CFR rule now finalized, CMMC is officially enforceable. It's in your contracts. The wolf is here, and now we're the ones crying. Just crying. So in this episode, we're breaking down what CMMC actually is, how we got here, and what it means now that the wait-and-see window is slammed shut. The cybersecurity show for professionals with trust issues. I'm your host, Matt Bruggeman, and today we're tackling part 1 of our breakdown on CMMC. Now, before we get into what it is, let's just clear this up because I know what you're thinking, right? Do we really need an entire video about the Central Maine Medical Center and their ER response times? And I know that's just a joke on the acronym, but I looked it up for this joke, and apparently somebody needs to make that video because evidently they're so slow getting to patients. One Google review literally says either get more medical people or shut the place down, which to be fair has been a criticism of the DoD's CMMC as well. And I think a fair criticism of my production crew. I mean, can we get more folks in here, AJ? But while the Central Maine Medical Center might be saving lives or, leaving people in the waiting room, we're here to talk about something objectively more important: saving your contracts. And believe me, I know better than anyone that there are already a million videos out there explaining what CMMC is, why it was created, how it evolved, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna rip through this part as fast as humanly possible, just so that we're all on the same page. And if you already know this, just sit back, relax, pop open ChatGPT, maybe a glass of wine, and I'll be done before it finishes ghostwriting your next LinkedIn post. Tom, we do not care about dropping your daughter off at school and how that relates to your sales process. But anyway, what is CMMC and why is it here? Start the timer. Let's begin. Back in 2016, the Department of Defense rolled out DFAR's 7012 contract clause, basically saying, hey, please protect controlled and classified information. It's important to us. It was based on NIST 800-171, which laid out 110 security requirements, but there was one massive problem. The DoD only asked you to self-attest to meeting these requirements, and spoiler alert, when you let people grade their own homework, they don't do it. Meanwhile, in real life, stuff was slipping. A 2018 Navy report, for instance, found that Chinese military hackers were actively stealing sensitive data from U.S. defense contractors, including details on advanced weapon systems. I mean, it's in the word, advanced weapon systems. That's pretty important, people. So the DoD was all like, hey, we should have a third party come validate you're meeting these requirements because you're clearly not, and we want you to. Thus, they launched CMMC 1.0 in 2020, an effort to verify compliance through third-party certification. But it was let's say ambitious. After a lot of feedback, that got reworked into CMMC 2.0, fewer levels, more alignment with NIST, and yes, still plenty of MSPs hounding you for their business. Then, after years of the long, arduous, and let's be real, sometimes downright fun, federal rulemaking process, the CMMC program was finalized in the 32 CFR rule in late 2024, meaning CMMC was live and assessments could officially begin. And now, drum roll please.
We don't have enough hands.
You don't have enough hands for a drum roll? You need 2 hands to drum roll. I'll do it myself, like everything around here. The 48 CFR rule is finalized too, which means CMMC can now be baked directly into your DoD contracts, and in legal terms, this just got real, and time. Pretty quick. Hopefully I didn't miss anything crucial. So surely with all this historical context for the need for third-party verification and the very real evidence that CMMC requirements will be in DoD contracts very soon, the DoD supply chain is taking this very seriously. I mean, if they don't get certified in time, they'll lose out on all of their contracts with the DoD, so I would imagine many of the estimated 80,000 organizations that will need level 2 are already getting certified to get ahead of this. Right?
And to date, I believe the number is 168, I think, is the number I got in terms of how many level 2 certification assessments have been final. Certification assessments have been issued.
168? 168 out of 80,000. So they're not getting ready. I mean, I'm no math wizard, but 168 divided by 80,000, that's not nearly enough, people. Well, they're probably just waiting until the last minute to implement the controls and get assessed. That must be it. It's going to be showing up in contracts any day now, but if all of those organizations just start getting ready now, they'll be ready before it shows up in their contracts. Right?
Yeah, you're looking about 6 months for an enclave, and you're looking at about anywhere between 12 and 24 months for that all-in transform the whole business.
Okay. Wait. No, I've got it. What if most of them are already compliant and they don't need those 12 to 18 months to get ready? I mean, the whole reason CMMC is here is because the DoD has proven they aren't meeting all of these controls, but just indulge me. Maybe they feel good about their readiness and they're just waiting until it's in their contracts to get onto a C-3PO schedule and get assessed. Take that, CMMC fearmongerers. We've definitely figured it out.
We're currently right now booking in the February and March of next year, and we're starting to see that demand even grow. We have no availability left for 2025 calendar year.
They're booking up that far out. I guess we haven't gotten it figured out. So let me get this straight. As of June 24th, 2025, only 168 out of an estimated 80,000 organizations have received their level 2 certification. The phased rollout into DoD contracts is starting now. It can take organizations 12 to 18 months to get ready for their assessment, and even if they were ready now, some C-3PAOs are booking up almost a year out. What the f***?
We'll be right back.
Are people waiting for? At this point, I got nothing. Maybe it's hope, maybe it's denial, maybe it's that the guy warning them all these years seemed super chill about it. I mean, he looks like he's yawning, right? Yeah, that's the bit. I think he looks like he's yawning. I figured there's only one person who can help us sort out this mess. Let's catch up with the actual boy who cried wolf. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the self-proclaimed CMMC town crier himself, Jacob Horn.
All right, Jacob, thank you again for joining us. As you write in your LinkedIn bio, you were born with this rare genetic mutation that allows you to read NIST publications and government regulations without experiencing boredom like a normal person. My first question is, when did you first notice this mutation? And I guess, are you just as shocked the X-Men haven't recruited you yet?
Yeah, it's the worst superpower ever. And I noticed it when I was a kid back in the day. You can ask your parents about this, kids. Back in the day when video games used to come in cartridges or on discs and you had to buy the physical copy of the game, they used to come with booklets inside of the packaging. And the booklet would explain how the controls work and how the game works and the lore behind the game and how the bad guys work. And all the information in the game was contained in this rule booklet. And I used to obsessively read and study these rule booklets before playing the game, and all my friends couldn't care less about the rule book. And so that's how I knew I had mutant powers. I knew from an early age.
Beautiful. So in your LinkedIn bio, you go on to say that you've made a career out of using that power for good, which I think we can all agree that you have done very well. Now, in this episode, we just walked through the history of CMMC, its need, the reality of it coming into contract requirements now, and ultimately the lack of companies historically, at least, taking this seriously. I think we're starting to see a turning of the tide there. What do you think that has and had been most attributed to that lack of urgency around this? And then how are you continuing to use this power for good to help wake them up?
Well, the reason it's not taken seriously is because there hasn't been consequences for not taking it seriously, period. Like that's the reason. You can't say that the reason that implementation is still, in very, very low levels across the DIB by virtually anybody who's ever done an analysis of the implementation of the requirements in DFAR 7012, whether that's official DoD analysis or independent market research from various companies over the years. You can't say that it's a function of time because the requirements have been unchanged now for a decade. So it's not a function of how long people have. And so it's because there's no consequences and everybody knows it. And it's kind of an open secret. You talk to a lot of people and almost inevitably a lot of the conversations turn into, we didn't take it seriously. Our customers didn't ask about it. We all just kind of looked the other way. And now it's a big deal and it makes a lot of people very frustrated. So it's because there's no consequences, right? That's why no one has lost a contract. Very few people have experienced fines under the False Claims Act. And that's really the forcing mechanism that CMMC represents, which is why it gets such an intense backlash, is because it is the consequence.
So we're at an interesting place right now, obviously. So 48 CFR is finalized November 10th. We know the date it's going to begin the phase 1 of the rollout. And so those consequences will start to come to a head. Post November 10th, the DoD's discretion here, right? Let's talk about the levels. Level 1, self-attest. Level 2, self-attest. Level 2, C3PAO, which is a level 2 certification for CMMC. Within their phase 1 rollout, they said, hey, the minimum requirements will be level 1 self-attest, level 2 self-attest. And then they fit through in that fun little sentence that we all love that mentions the word discretion. The DoD may, at its discretion, require a level 2 C3PAO certification in lieu of that self-attestation. So I've seen you post a bunch of content about this, but just give us your thoughts right now on how you think that'll actually play out.
Yeah, so pretty much everybody says phase 1, first 12 months, there won't be any level 2 certification requirements. It's not true. So if you read, like you said, the language at 32 CFR 170 that describes the phased rollout, the two big words are discretion and applicability. So discretion says they can. There is no policy that says they cannot, right? So there is zero policy that says that the DoD is prohibited from requiring CMMC level 2 certification in the first 12 months, period, right? So now we've got a big question mark. What the heck does applicability mean? Because if they can, the question is, will they? And after the 32 CFR final rule came out and went into effect in December of 2024, we got a policy memo in January of 2025. It was a policy memo written to the DoD contracting workforce that said, here's how you determine which CMMC status level applies, which tells us how applicability will work. And if you read the section on level 2 C3PAO certification, they say that if the contract will involve any of the categories of controlled unclassified information under the DoD grouping in the NARA CUI registry, the minimum requirement is a level 2 C3PAO status. The big one for most people listening to this, for most defense contractors in reality, is controlled technical information. If you deal with controlled technical information, if you deal with naval nuclear propulsion information, it says it right there in the clarifying guidance to the DoD contract workforce, to the PMs and the KOs, that if that data is involved in this contract, you need a CMMC level 2 C3PAO status at a minimum. Doesn't say anything about phased rollout, doesn't say anything about a prohibition for 12 months, doesn't say nothing. So that's applicability. They have the discretion. So now your question is, will they or won't they? You don't know. Unless you have talked to the PM pre-solicitation, which you almost certainly have not, you don't know. Really, big picture, you got to think about, what is the purpose of this program? The purpose of the program is to give DoD assurance that you have implemented the requirements in DFAR 7012. That's it. Because DFAR 7012, as the many CMMC rules over the years have said over and over again, has no verification mechanism. And so to establish the program and then say, hey, everyone with the data that we care about, we are going to accept the policy that we know is a failure, which is why we created this program in the first place, doesn't make any sense. Will some people get level 2 self-assessment in phase 1? Absolutely. Will you get a level 2 self-assessment instead of a C3 PAO certification requirement? You don't know. You can't predict it. This is the bet. This is the bet that everybody needs to make. And so, it is not airtight that there will be only self-assessments in phase 1. I've been really trying to, hammer that point home. I've been told most of the time I say this on LinkedIn, people tell me I'm wrong. Yeah. I guess I'm just reading different policy, but I'm not going to be the one who goes on these podcasts and tells people you can self-assess for this first 12 months and then have a bunch of people get the rug pulled out from under them 2 months into the phased rollout.
It'd be very interesting to see how it continues to play out here. Jacob, I'm going to wrap things up. Jacob Horn, thank you again so much for joining me here today.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us. Jacob Horn, everybody. While I was talking to Jacob about the real risk, we sent our very legit, very qualified field reporter, Al Campley, into the trenches to see how organizations are actually preparing. Spoiler alert, you know what's coming. They're not.
Matt, I am currently standing outside of a company that claims they are ready and prepared for CMMC. But when I asked them for their SSP, they just handed me this species survival plan for red wolves.
Ow. Hey, slow down. You're acting like you're in a hurricane. What's wrong?
I am in a hurricane, Matt. A hurricane of overconfidence. You see, I just learned that red wolves are at a shockingly low reproductive rate.
Ow. I don't mean to cut you off, but you're supposed to be investigating their preparedness for CMMC.
Actually, Matt, now that you mention it, they did talk about CMMC.
Oh, okay, that's great. So they are aware of it.
Yeah, they are. They said canines must mate consistently in order for the red wolf species to have any chance at survival.
Okay, we understand. We need to save red wolves. What did you learn about the company's preparedness for CMMC requirements? Do we think they're going to be ready in time for contract requirements?
Oh, absolutely not. They're screwed.
Well, there's got to be some hope. What advice would you give them?
Act now, or you're going to end up like the red wolves on the brink of extinction, or even worse, no more of those sweet, lucrative DoD contracts.
That really is what it's all about at the end of the day. Thank you so much. Al Campley, everyone. Now let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more Mostly Compliant tonight. Thank you guys so much. This live studio audience, I can't tell you, they've been fantastic. We are not adding that in post, I promise. So here's the deal. You don't have to love CMMC or even agree with its rationale. You just have to bid on the contracts. And now, it's in the contracts. And I know at times I painted a bit of a dim picture on the possibility of getting certified in time, but the reality is many defense industrial-based organizations have been preparing for some time, and not every C3PAO is backlogged 6, 9, 12 months out. With some, you can start much sooner. So I sincerely hope you take some immediate steps to get this taken care of as soon as possible if you want to continue those contracts, because after all, isn't that what life's all about? The DoD contracts. Now join us next episode as we break down what CMMC enforcement really looks like and what this rollout means for your next contract. As always, subscribe, like, share, and if you're one of the 79,832 organizations, I think I did the math right, who haven't been certified yet, good luck. I'm Matt Bruggeman. This has been Mostly Compliant tonight. Thank you guys so much. Get out there and secure those sweet DoD contracts.